go ahead and get started. We have three wonderful presenters today. My name is McLean Gudkin. I am a member of the South Carolina Governor's Council, not the Governor's Council, the Schools Network Group, excuse me. And the mission of the South Carolina Schools Network is to identify and promote healthy eating and active living strategies in South Carolina public schools that empower key stakeholders and encourage collaboration among those seeking to improve student health and academic achievement.
And good morning. My name is Erica Ayers, and I serve as the Executive Director of the South Carolina Governor's Council on Physical Fitness. And the mission of the Governor's Council is to advance the health of all South Carolinians through promotion of physical activity and fitness. And because our missions align so nicely, the Governor's Council and the Schools Network have been working collaboratively for the past several years now. And this webinar series is an example of that collaboration. Since the spring of 2022, I believe now, we've been working together on this webinar series to enhance collaboration between schools and communities using the whole school, whole community, whole child model as a framework to support student health. For today's webinar, which by the way happens to be our last webinar for the 23-24 school year, we're going to be looking at physical education and physical activity and how community involvement is embedded within that. Now, before we get started, and they didn't know I was going to do this, but before we get started in today's presentation, because it is our last webinar for the school year, I just want to give some thanks. First and foremost, I want to give thank yous to my co-facilitators. They've been working with me for the past couple of years on this webinar series, and it's been such a privilege and such an honor to work with two amazing women, JC with the Wholespire, and then McLean, who just introduced herself with the Boeing Center for Children's Wellness. This webinar series would not be possible if it didn't happen to have them to help coordinate all of these webinars and then facilitate the day of. So if y'all could just give a virtual applause, please, to our wonderful co-facilitators. And I also want to give a huge thanks to all of the panelists that we had this past year. It was a huge group of folks ranging from professionalism at the national level, the state level, the regional level, the local level, the community level, the school building level, coming from nonprofits, for-profits, healthcare systems, state agencies, the whole gamut. Everyone was here, and we really appreciate everyone who participated. And we, again, this webinar series would not have been possible at all if they had not agreed to show up and share the information that they shared. So a big thank you and another virtual applause for all of the panelists that we've had this past year. So moving along, but before McLean introduces our panelists for today, we want to get a better idea of who's participating. So we're going to open up our first poll, and we're going to get an idea of who y'all are so they know who they're speaking to. And then I will pass it along to McLean for introductions.
All right, so it looks like we have mostly school staff and then some state agencies and other in the room today. So we are going to kick off with Mrs. Barbara Oswald. She is the Vice President of Programs with the Special Olympics of South Carolina. And then we're going to have Chris Payne, a PE teacher from Satchel Ford Elementary School in Richland School District 1, as well as a SCAPES Adapted PE chairperson. And then we're going to end today's session with Dr. Kim Kirby, the Executive Director of the South Carolina Alliance for Health, Physical Education, Research, Recreation, and Dance. So Barbara, I'm going to pass it off to you.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here with you. We're flashing up this QR code to begin with because we would love to connect with anyone out there that's interested in talking more with Special Olympics South Carolina and our team on how we can support physical education and activities for individuals and children with intellectual disabilities and really of all abilities. So please feel free to snap this QR code with your cell phone and fill out the quick information there, and we would love to connect with you down the road. I'll go ahead and give you a little synopsis of who I am and what I do. I am Vice President of Programs for Special Olympics South Carolina. I've had the great joy of being with Special Olympics South Carolina for just about 23 years now. And I think some of the greatest work that we've done is through partnerships with school systems, through partnerships with service providers. And certainly we have a collection of resources and strategies that hopefully might be able to be something that could benefit you. So let's take a look at what Special Olympics does. This is sort of this great graphic of the continuum of what Special Olympics can provide for individuals, children, and adults with intellectual disabilities. Oftentimes when we ask people to think about what what images come to mind when they hear Special Olympics, some people think younger children and they think of that kind of inclusive environment, or a Special Olympics field day of sorts. Others think of adults and they think of some athletes who are really training hard in their sports. The important message that we always want to convey is that we are all of those things. We are inclusion, we are competition and sports and play. And it's important that we really serve those individuals, our community, throughout their lifetime, but also those without intellectual disabilities, because it's important for us to create those inclusive environments. So the first kind of segment of our population that we'll tackle is our young athletes. So next slide will show you a resource that we have that is one of many resources for our young athlete programs. Young Athletes is intended to serve children with and without special needs, ages 2 to 7 years old. Obviously, that could go a little bit higher, but the idea there is creating opportunities to develop those foundational skills, those fine and gross motor skills, all those basic foundational things that we know we need to develop in order to create the athletes that they will be able to become for the future. In the world of Special Olympics, at as 8-year-olds, they can start to compete in a sport with Special Olympics. Leading up to that point, we really focus in on these young athlete resources and programming. These types of activities can take place in schools. They can take place by service providers who can really use these as resources. They can take place within community groups or even in a home. So this is something that can be a resource for families to have. This particular resource just came out in the last year and a half. It's an 8-week program guide, and it could be used as a curriculum. It could also just be used as a supplemental resource just to give you some ideas. If you're looking at specific activities to improve, kicking, throwing, striking, jumping, any of those types of basic developmental skills, these can give you some really great ideas. And many of them are based off of activities that were developed by physical therapists, occupational therapists, really true experts in the field. So see us as an opportunity to really connect and hopefully provide even better services to those preschool age children. Next in our continuum, we check the box of young athletes. Let's look at elementary schools. So in the world of Special Olympics, we're in year 16 of a program called Unified Champion Schools. If you haven't heard about Unified Champion Schools, I'll give you the little snippet. It began really out of partnership between Special Olympics North America and the U.S. Department of Education. At the time, there was a real emphasis on the bullying crisis that was taking place in school systems, really recognizing all the needs for strategies to help combat bullying. But what was really recognized is that our population, students with disabilities, were facing bullying at twice the rate of their non-disabled peers. And a lot of the programs that had been implemented really weren't trying to address that issue. So through a partnership with Special Olympics, Unified Champion Schools was really born with the idea of infusing Special Olympics and meaningful inclusion in ways in a school that could really be a culture change. Many state programs started with high schools and they worked their way down. We took kind of an all-come approach and had K through 12 immediately engaged with our Unified Champion Schools. And I love where we're able to kind of create that pipeline of opportunities. This is an example of one of the resources that provides lots of activity ideas, strategies that can be used in schools. Any of our Unified Champion Schools resources are available for free. Our team is available to help support kind of the planning and leadership behind Unified Champion Schools in any school. At an elementary level, We really are looking at opportunities both for very meaningful physical education in an inclusive environment. Some schools will decide to have a unified recess that they structure, or a unified club. We really try to support both, meaningful physical activity along with social emotional learning, and inclusive youth leadership at all levels. You're going to get to hear a little bit from a unified elementary school later, so I won't go into that too much. But let's continue on our continuum. So we've worked with our elementary schools. Now we can dive into middle schools, which is such an important, part of a child's developmental time, whether they have intellectual disabilities or not. Middle schools, this is the playbook for middle level. Again, it's a resource that really just provides ideas and strategies that can be utilized in middle school. But oftentimes it's middle school where you really see an emphasis start on unified sports. Unified sports in the world of Special Olympics is true inclusion in sports. It's pairing individuals with and without intellectual disabilities on the same sports teams together. I know my first experience with Special Olympics was volunteering in college. I went to Presbyterian College and we hosted the local Special Olympics spring games. And each year I got to be a buddy for a day. And obviously it left a big impact on me because I've been a lifelong fan of Special Olympics ever since. But I didn't get to have that truly inclusive relationship with my athlete like what we're able to provide through unified sports. Through unified sports, your teammates, your friends, all of those things on and off the playing field can take place in very genuine and organic ways, and it's really incredible. So unified sports in schools often includes things like bocce, basketball, bowling. They can have an array of sport opportunities that kind of match what your students' interests are or what their ability level is. Middle schools also implement ideas for inclusive youth leadership and whole school engagement to make sure the entire school is really jumping on board with that inclusive culture that we're trying to create. So from middle schools, we continue on into our high school environment. And high school is really, such a great opportunity for us to leave that final mark before those students are out in the real world, so to speak, or moving on to college. And this is that high school playbook. But one primary strategy that we started with from the very beginning of Unified Champion Schools was promoting unified physical education. When we started with unified schools, there were a handful of high schools within the state that had created these unified PE programs. And it's really important to recognize the difference between unified PE and just an inclusive PE environment. This is not a ninth grade PE class where you happen to have that self-contained class feeding into it. And oftentimes we know what that ends up looking like. It's a real difficult situation for a PE teacher to manage. Oftentimes special ed students are just sort of walking laps, or they've got their own basketball goal off to the side. It's very difficult to feel like you're providing a meaningful experience to every student in that class. Unified PE is oftentimes the answer to that issue. It becomes a PE elective course, so it would be PE 2, 3, 4. And it is intentionally inclusive. So students from the general education population would register to be in this class in order to be a unified partner. They know what they're signing up for. Oftentimes it's a 1-to-1 ratio of athlete to partner, and they're there to learn, to lead together, and to train for unified sports. Now unified PE has expanded incredibly across our state. And certainly has filtered into middle school and even elementary schools now. But we do see this as such an opportunity for PE and special ed to have a collaborative working relationship in a way that often wasn't happening before. And we've just had incredible results. It's oftentimes something that's very sustainable, low cost, and once it's there, it infuses social inclusion throughout the school in a really incredible way. So let's take a quick look at Unified PE. These are all middle schools represented talking about it, but I think it's fun to see some students and teachers in their account.
It's really helped to change the hearts, minds, brought kindness to our students that really enjoy working with exceptional student athletes.
I love that I just get to spend every single day with the athletes and have so much fun, and that we get to like modify our sports, and it's always just so much fun to spend time with them because they're so nice.
We got some great kids that come in here and they care about each other. When I go down to their classrooms and they come out, hey, is my partner here today? I'm excited for them. I want to go show them something.
That excitement and enthusiasm around Unified has really kind of grabbed those kids and brought them in.
The kids bought in, and to me, it was important that the kids buy in, because it doesn't matter if I want you to do it, but when your peers want to do it and they're talking about Unified, talking about Polar Plunge, talking about going to the State House rally, you know, the students really drive it.
Every year we came in with a new group that comes in and they keep raising the bar.
What's great is Unified PE not only promotes inclusion, but it also really creates this dialogue between special ed and PE that oftentimes wasn't there before.
Before I joined, I would like sit in a corner. I was a very quiet kid, and being in Unified, it has definitely brought me out of my shell.
I like playing basketball with Libya and like playing soccer with you too.
It helped me to open up and have a lot of fun.
I would definitely recommend to anyone in other schools to take this class if they had the opportunity.
Thank you. Yes, so that is Unified PE. Just kind of showed you 3 different schools, all serve very different populations, which I think is important to represent, because Unified PE really can fit just about any model of programming that you might have. So now that we've worked with elementary through high school, of course, there's all of these students out there in South Carolina that are wanting to continue their involvement with Unified beyond high school. So Special Olympics college clubs are growing throughout the country. And certainly we've seen some growth here in South Carolina. This next picture shows you our newest college club, which are the Unified Gamecocks. Don't you worry if you're a Clemson Tiger. Clemson has a fantastic Unified program. They have actually implemented intramural Unified Sports, which is an ongoing seasonal opportunity for members of their Clemson Life program, but also special needs athletes in the community. The great thing is that we've created these lifelong fans of Special Olympics. They see this as their people. You know, these are the friendships that they're yearning to continue to have. And we want to make sure that we're fostering opportunities for them to have that experience ongoing. They continue to provide those same kind of 3 different areas of Unified Champion Schools: Unified sports opportunities, inclusive youth leadership, which also is social engagement, but then also whole school engagement, where we're making sure we're advocating for inclusion throughout a campus, whether it's elementary school all the way up to college, university. It's important that we continue to spread that message. So beyond college, it's important for all of us as a service provider, as an educator, as a family member, whatever purpose we serve, to know what's available for this population beyond school. Oftentimes our population turns 21 and it's very difficult to continue to have those social interactions and that physical activity and engagement that you so desperately need. This is a picture of our state. On our website, so-sc.org, anyone can go on there and click their county and it will pop up their area program. We're really striving to apply a lot of the best practices we've developed in our school programs, a lot of the systems that have been created, and translate those into community programs so that we can make sure to continue to serve our population for life. And you may be a part of that conversation one day with a parent trying to figure out how to transition a student and make sure that, you know, they're not just sitting on a couch after they're out of high school, that they're able to engage and continue their love of basketball or continue to have that social environment through bowling or bocce or cornhole. Those are all things that we want to support as well. So remember that you can look to Special Olympics to try to help fill in some of those gaps. All right, so we've looked at the entire continuum of Special Olympics, kind of in a very quick snapshot look. But this next slide is going to give you, I know I saw that we have a lot of educators on here. This is open to educators or non-educators. We often have people from the community will also come to this, but this is a free summer educator workshop. It's like a one-day conference. We've been doing it for something like 14 years now. It is a lot of fun, a lot of energy. We give away a lot of resources, but it also provides a space for everyone to brainstorm, to share, to connect with others, and hopefully take away a lot of new ideas and strategies that you would like to use in whatever your workplace is. This is a QR code to register, but also utilize our website because there's a lot of resources on there. We also provide grant funding for schools, and occasionally we can find some funding to provide to community groups as well. So if you're ever looking to start something within that unified sports or Special Olympics realm, never hesitate to reach out to our team because we don't want money or resources to be what prevents you. If we don't have it to give, we certainly will try to help to find those connections for you. So yeah, we're excited to promote Unified Champion Schools, but also Special Olympics in our communities, and hopefully can be a great resource and partner to some of your organizations down the road. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Barb. That was a lot of really great information, and we really appreciate you sharing that. And when we first got connected with your colleague, Kelsey, I immediately thought, like, we need y'all part of our state level schools network, because I feel like there's a gap to fill with this group. And I think that's definitely something that y'all could help us with. And I see great opportunities for collaboration at the state level as well as the local level. So I'm sure, I can't see the chat right now, but I'm sure McLean was putting those links from your QR codes and stuff also in there. And then we can also reshare that opportunity to register for that workshop. So again, just thank you so much, Barb, for joining us today. And if y'all have questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A, or you can put them in the chat, and Barb can respond to those. And if we have time at the end, we may be able to respond to them verbally. So again, Barb, just thank you so much for joining us today. So I am going now to reintroduce Chris Payne. He's a PE teacher with Richland School District 1, and he also works in Unified PE. So we can actually get a little bit more of a local example of what Barb was sharing with us. So Chris, I'm going to pass it along to you.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Miss Erica, I believe my video is stopped on your end.
Yes. Would you like me to start with your video?
No, I'm talking about my video for me. It's
Oh.
saying I'm blocked.
I'm not sure. Maybe JC can figure that out, but in the meantime, we can at least hear your voice.
Okay, yeah. All right. Well,
We
again,
see you now. You're good to go.
all right,
You're good
good.
to go.
Good morning, everyone. Like I said, my name is Chris Payne. I'm the PE teacher at Satchel Ford Elementary in Richland 1. I've been here for 3 years now, but I've been teaching for 14, 10 of which was at another school in Richland 1, a Title I school, and I did 1 year of adapted PE full time. So I'm going to cover some things we do on the unified front as far as elementary goes to start. But really here this morning to tell you about our elementary PE program, the things we do, the things that we do in our community, and also just some, hopefully a little snippet of some ideas that you can have or get a better understanding of what we do in elementary PE. So, some famous quotes about PE teachers that all of us still hear to this day. Of course, I say all this with tongue in cheek with some things. I hear these quotes all the time from people who may not be aware of exactly what we do. All we do is play all day. The parachute comes up a lot for people in my generation because that's what they remember about PE. Some people get really mad about being called a gym teacher. I personally don't care, but I get called gym teacher. And of course, we have those infamous teachers that just roll out the balls. There are some still out there, unfortunately, but what I'm here today is to debunk some of those myths and tell you what we do. My favorite quote is at the bottom because I've actually had this asked to me a few times in my life. Do I have to go to college to be a PE teacher? So hopefully I can debunk some of these myths and sell our program at Satchel Ford and also what we strive to do as a district. So we aim to teach in the 3 domains of teaching physical education. They are the affective, cognitive, and psychomotor, and I'll highlight each one of those. So the affective domain, and I'm not going to read verbatim for everything, but it focuses on students' feelings, attitudes, and values about movement. So in a nutshell, the affective domain really is the relationship part of teaching physical education. It's the social emotional learning part, as we talked about. That is a huge part of what we do in Unified as well, building those relationships, how to learn new feelings, how to handle emotions. A lot of times in a physical education class or just in sports in general, emotions can get a little out of hand, and we want to teach our kids the best way to succeed, also the best way to fail, and how those can be expressed. The cognitive domain, that addresses the development of content knowledge. So it obviously varies, and I can speak specifically on elementary because this is basically all I know. I did a little bit of secondary during the adaptive portion of my career, but really this is a wide variety of things from kindergarten to 5th grade. So we try to, during our closure every day of every PE lesson, we want to have our students leave out of our gym with some type of feedback for them to understand what we did and why we did it. Some examples, and I'll just give you the two ends of the spectrum. For kindergarten, I'll focus on different kind of buzzwords of what we learned. If we start a new unit, for example, we do a very brief set induction of a history of whatever unit we're doing. For example, during our disc golf unit, we'll talk about who invented disc golf, where it starts, and then we'll talk about our community and where they can play disc golf. Getting back to my point about kindergarten, we want them to leave knowing that there's a difference between traditional golf and disc golf. Whereas our 5th graders, a cognitive domain strategy would be teaching tactics and strategies in a game play. That is a challenging thing to teach at times because students really don't understand how to strategize or create tactics for themselves. But it's a really good team aspect of that. So the cognitive domain really emphasizes what they need to understand about the specific skill they're doing. And then, of course, we have the motor domain. That is the physical aspects of the learning. It addresses all the things we want to accomplish in terms of motor development and their fitness levels. So, for example, there's a picture there of the overhand throw. So that is a kind of a simple example for you. Whenever we teach the overhand throw, we're looking for different critical features. And by doing that, to get back to the cognitive domain, we'll give different cues that they can use to relate to how to properly do the overhand throw. So the motor domain is really the emphasis of PE, but the cognitive and affective domain also go hand in hand. So I'm not going to say that we spend more time on any domain than the other. We try to even that out as much as we possibly can so students can have a high quality physical education experience. So what we do at Satchel Ford is we develop different teams over here for outside of our school. And here's an example of the teams that we have. We have a fitness team, a disc golf team. We just had our first ever pickleball team. And then, of course, our unified program, Unified Disc Golf, we started this year. And then we reach all of our students with disabilities via Special Olympics. So I'm going to highlight each one of these teams quickly so you can understand how we get those teams, how we pick those teams, and the criteria for those teams. So this is our fitness team from this year. And I'm more of a visual learner, so a lot of my stuff is pictures. And I just want you to see the pictures, and then I can describe them a little bit more in depth. But the Fitness Bowl in Richland 1 started back in 2012. And really, it just started from the ground up. We only had 4 schools. So we were challenged on when we do our annual fitnessgram assessment on how we can have the kids more engaged in this area. So this is a competitive type team. So in a nutshell, what we do is we take our areas of the fitnessgram that we test, which is the cardiovascular with the pacer, our curl up test, our flexed arm hang, our sit and reach. And we put together a team based off the highest scores in the school. And any student in any grade can qualify. The lowest I've ever had is a 2nd grader on it. And there's a couple in that picture as we speak. So we kind of created a formula. Well, Coach Norris, my partner, created a formula for how we can get our best fitness champions on a team. and it started in 2012. And then we continued that trend at Satchel Ford when Coach Norris came in 2018. And this, again, is our most recent photo from here. And the Fitness Bowl has been as big as 12 teams. It's down a little bit due to COVID. We're down to about 9 or 10 now, but we have a lot of schools that are interested, and we actually have school districts in our state that have adopted some type of model for their Fitness Bowl. Also, we have a disc golf team here. 5 years ago, we were fortunate enough to have a 18-hole disc golf course implemented in on our school campus. It's really 9 holes, but each hole has 2 starting parts for a more of a novice player and more of an advanced player. So the disc golf tournament started 3 years ago, and we have invited 4 schools for different tournaments now. To the point to where another school in our district does not have a disc golf course, but what they have done is they have created a disc golf course with the portable disc catchers that our district was fortunate enough to give to us several years ago. So we have 2 disc golf tournaments each year. Again, this is an extracurricular mainly for our 5th graders. There are some 4th graders that have played before, a little bit by default, but we really try to keep this as an incentive-based team for our 5th graders. They're considered the seniors of our school since this is their last year, and it gives that emphasis of school pride and school belonging. So this is actually our disc golf team from last year. We haven't updated to our new rosters yet this year. We just finished about a month ago with our disc golf tournaments. So this is also a tryout based team. We have a disc golf unit in PE, and we have tryouts during their recess time and sometimes after school if they want to be a part of the team. Also, this year we had our first ever pickleball team. So one of our neighboring schools in Richland 1 wanted to host a pickleball tournament. This is an all 5th grade team as well. And again, just to go back a bit on disc golf, we drive off this through our PE unit. So we have a disc golf unit just like we have a pickleball or paddleball unit. So we set up our PE lessons for novice players as well as advanced players. Well, obviously with our pickleball team, this is more of our advanced players. These are guys and girls that try out for the team. They try out during PE. It is completely optional for them to try out. And if they try out and make the team, we have criteria that they must meet in order to make the team, not only on the court, but off the court. We try to treat everything we do kind of like a varsity sport and have high standards for how they treat others, treat themselves. Again, that's going back to that affective domain of teaching. We were fortunate. If you look at our girls right there, they were the champions this year. It was a 3-team tournament. And then the boys were runner-up, but we also had the #1 boy because we had an individual award as well. So really good. That's also taken off really big around here. We are going to add another school to our pickleball tournament next year. So I see this being very similar to our Fitness Bowl where many teams would be invited, and hopefully other districts can steal this idea. All right, and to piggyback on Barb, this is our unified program. This is actually a picture of us from a young athletes event back in December. Some people wore their tacky sweaters to have some fun. Also, if you look in the bottom right, that's we had a young athletes event here at our school back in September on a Saturday morning. Great turnout for that. The larger picture is from the University of South Carolina at the Volleyball Center. This is on a Saturday morning, and we had a great showing of our unified students. Our unified program, we invite excuse me, grade levels 3rd through 5th to come be a part of it. For kindergarten through 2nd, we start with the young athletes and partnered with those. But as far as the club goes, this is our unified program. Up there in the top right, one of our athletes who is a student with disability plays in Miracle League, which is a baseball league for students with disabilities. And our unified program went out on a Saturday morning and came up with a cheering section. We just had a great time doing that. So we try to do monthly events as far as getting out, whether that be Special Olympics or getting out to events to bring the community together and more or less educate and give the kids experiences that they can understand, again, that affective domain of understanding how to partner with others that learn a little bit different than us at times. This is also our unified disc golf team. This is our first year. We just finished. We just had our tournament about a month ago. So our unified disc golf team is all of our fifth graders in our unified program, partnering with all the students with disabilities in our school. It was a great morning for it. And not only were we involved, we invited 3 other schools from our district: AC Flora, a high school, Creighton Middle School, both of which are national banner schools, and Brockman Elementary. So we invited all those to come over one morning, and we all played unified disc golf. We had partners and athletes in various groups. We had a lot of great feedback from that. It was a wonderful weather morning for sure. And this is specifically our picture of our Satchel 4 team. And as you can see, we're big advocates of unified champion schools. We're big advocates of inclusion, and our students really just steer this whole ship. And it's a phenomenal thing to see. It's a phenomenal thing to get our community involved. And whenever you have partner schools that are doing some of the same things that you're striving to do, it really helps out to engage all those students and adults. And then, of course, we had our spring games here in Richland 1. Our Special Olympics did a great job, and Keenan High School did a great job of this. Here are some of our athletes pictured here. These are the ones that won some banners in either the softball throw or the 50-meter run. It was a great day for it. Weather came in a little bit, but we were able to modify and able to get back out there. But this was a great experience for all of our athletes in our school. Again, this is kind of what we do in PE every day, is we include all of our students. And these students are in self-contained classes, but we invite them to come to PE, and we allow them to be included in all of our PE units and everything that we offer. And whenever they're in PE, they'll have a partner, or we call it an assistant coach, to assist them with whatever they need. These athletes had a great time. We invited a lot of the families to come as well. So we had a big turnout for our particular event that day. And what was really cool about it is we had a unified parade that morning, where our school, and we have 700 students in our school, where our entire school had a parade in the hallways as our athletes transitioned from my gym all the way through the school to get on the bus. Really, really big deal. So it's a huge buy-in from our school, from our admin, from our teachers, from our students. And we were able to celebrate all of these athletes before they went off to participate and compete. So as you probably heard me for the last 10 minutes or so, I am a big unified guy. Special Olympics means the absolute world to me. And back in January, I was very fortunate to win a Champion of the Mission award. And WIS-TV came out and highlighted. And I want to share this video with everyone, and I want everyone to understand that this is not a highlight of me, Chris Payne. I don't want it to be about that. This is highlighting our program, and because our students really are the ones that stir the ship for all of this. And I wanted them to get the recognition they deserve, because they just do such a phenomenal job. So WIS came out, highlighted us as well as another athlete in our community. So when Erica is ready, she can play that. And it is a TV article, so you might have to put up with a 15 or 20-second article before it starts, or advertisement, excuse me, before it starts.
Okay, bear with me because I can't get the big black bar at the top of my screen to move to switch screens. So just bear with me 1 second.
Okay.
Recently recognized for his impactful work with an oftentimes overlooked community.
The South Carolina Special Olympics constantly works to provide equal opportunity and experience for the athletes they serve. And tonight, we see proof their efforts pay off.
Our Christina Thacker introduces us to the PE teacher inspiring change and shows us how this statewide program yields life-changing results.
I love you. We get to help the students with disabilities, like read, and we get to play with them, and it's just fun.
Leaders come in all forms. Some are teachers, some are children. But all leaders must have a set of skills to put the needs of others first. There is a diverse group of children at Satchel Ford Elementary who share those skills. the Special Olympics Unified Champions. And their leader is physical education coach, Chris Payne.
My wife is the one who introduced me to the world of Special Olympics when we first met 8 years ago. And since then, I just fell in love with it.
Payne always knew he would be a coach, but what he would never see coming is the impact he would make on a group of elementary school students. The Unified Champions program brings together able-bodied students with students of varying disabilities. The students learn how to form friendships and collaborate beyond present physical barriers. Kids as young as 8 and 9 years old are taking on a role of a mentor for other students.
I see just a lot of leadership. I see a lot of compassion. These students that are in the Unified Club, they are just natural leaders. And if they see someone who may have a disability, so to speak, they're going to be the first ones up to help that person out. But the leadership skills are second to none.
And the guidance these kids extend goes on and off the fields and courts. Of course, there are times for sports and play.
I like playing tag because we play outside and it's really fun.
But there is also an educational experience too. Here, we see Unified Champions learning educational skills. It's a type of connection that educators worry that kids this age may have missed due to the pandemic.
Freshman kids, they've been through a lot of adversity. If you think about the shutdown, I mean, they were all young kids at the time, and they missed out on a lot of not only education, they missed out on a lot of just social independence themselves.
Payne's own leadership skills would end up landing him with the Champion of the Mission Award, presented by the Special Olympics South Carolina Leadership Conference. But he says it was the students' leadership that got him that success.
So a lot of compassion, and they're just amazing. I mean, these students at Central Florida, they are amazing. They drive that car. I may hand them the key, but they drive it, and some of them drive it really fast, and they impress me every single day.
Students who benefit from Special Olympics can grow to foster a new kind of independence, which can be applicable to the workforce. Kenny Whitaker is all the proof you need to believe. Kenny is a medal winner of the Special Olympics, and this champion is employed at Publix on Rosewood Drive.
He was supposed to help me sell icons to raise money for Special Olympics. And he said, no, I'm bagging. And I'm like, Kenny, none of the athletes are here yet, so I need you to help me. He said, no, I'm bagging. And at the end of the night, he had bagged him a job, and he's been there for 15, 16 years. 15.
This type of accomplishment shows that the Special Olympics reaches beyond sports.
One being our education program, Unified Champions Schools. So athletes going through schools now are seeing school climates change and school communities be built around this idea of inclusion and acceptance for everyone.
But it all starts here, at this age. And when Coach Payne sees able-bodied and special needs students coming together, forming friendships, it's the greatest reward he could have.
It was whenever I had that little flutter in my heart, like, man, this is really working here. Okay, so that's just a little snapshot of what our unified program is about. Again, the students really drive this whole thing. As you can see, I'm a big advocate of this, but also just in a more general sense for physical education in general. Really, I want people to understand that we do way more than what the myths may say. While we have the advanced pickleballs and disc golf teams for students, but we also, I call those, the traditional teams. We also are able to create teams and allow opportunities for all students, no matter their background. And as you can see in that video, we had students in the classroom. That is part of the Young Athletes Readers Program Barb mentioned earlier. So we not only do things in the gym and PE, we try to expand out. And just one more point I want to make, Barb talked about the summer workshop. If you have an opportunity to go, it is a great place to go network, to learn, to grow. And what I tell everyone, it's a great place to rub elbows with people and learn just about anything you can. Obviously, we're all invested into helping students, adults of varying abilities and disabilities. So I just want to promote that. I know I'll be there, and I'll also have some students with me. Some of my partners and athletes are coming this summer. So it's a great place to go. And I just want to make sure I share that. So I will put my email in the chat box. If anyone has any more questions about anything I've talked about today, I'll be happy to help out. If you want to start a unified program or start one of our extracurricular teams, I can give you some pointers on how that can happen. And also, if you don't mind, in the chat box, just a little bit, 2 things I just wanted you to respond to, if you don't mind, if you learned anything new about elementary PE today. Maybe you were unaware of some of the things that happened in an elementary PE class. And of course, any additional comments, some things that you may have liked or may have disliked. But I will be sure to put my email in the chat box in case anyone wants to reach out and have an opportunity to collaborate or have an opportunity to get together and learn a little bit more. So I appreciate this. I love being a part of these kind of things. So again, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Chris. It's great to see the work you're doing in Richland 1, and it was really cool to see the students taking initiative and being leaders and helping their peers. That's really cool. Last but not least, we have Dr. Kim Kirby, the Executive Director of the South Carolina Alliance for Health, Physical Education, Recreation, and Dance. So Kim, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Well, that is a long title, the South Carolina Association Alliance, yada, yada. So just SCAHPERD. And that's the way most people know us. But, you know, it's so fun to hear from Chris and know that there are teachers out there that have quality physical education programs. And I know Lisa Curtis is on here, one of his colleagues, and she would definitely support that. So thank you, Chris, for what you do. Barbara, for all you guys do with Special Olympics. Just fun to hear that. Kind of hard to follow all that too. But I was kind of thinking, okay, how do we segue into SC FitMe? And part of it can be, so what are ways that we as a alliance and also as a professional organization, how can we support Special Olympics Unified programs? How can we support schools and physical education teachers, health teachers, dance teachers that need equipment, that need materials and resources for them to be able to provide that quality physical education program and to be able to buy that pickleball equipment so that you can have that tournament, or archery equipment so that you can do it, or golf equipment so that you can have that quality program and teach toward those lifelong activities. And lo and behold, we have SC FitMe. That's what we can do. And so just to give you a little history on SC FitMe and the whole idea behind it, you know, most of us are familiar with Jump Rope for Heart or Hoops for Heart, and we know that program and that partnership between Shape America and American Heart Association was dissolved. And so we no longer have Jump Rope for Heart. Now, we do have American Heart Association still does the Kids Heart Challenge, but we know that Jump Rope for Heart, Hoops for Heart no longer existed. And so that program obviously was a program that served a great need for teachers who needed equipment and or resources, and it provided a way for them to support the American Heart Association and also to provide equipment for their program, depending on how much money that they raised. And so we tried to come up with an idea that we could do that would help support teachers and fill that need, fill that gap there. So before I go on, I do want to ask you though, if you could, and I know that not a lot of you are teachers, but if you are, or if teachers in your district do a certain fundraising program, JC's going to put up a poll real quick. And if you would just answer this poll for me. First, does your school and or district, so you can think that way, have a physical education fundraisers that you do? And if they do, yes. And if they do have a fundraiser, then what does your school use? I provided 2 Kids Heart Challenge. That's what we're probably most familiar with American Heart Association. Probably a lot of people still call it Jump Rope Heart. And then there's also one Helps Moves Minds with Shape America. So if you can quickly do that, that would be great. All right, so I'm gonna go on. So we talked about, okay, so it dissolved. And that was probably I mean, what most of us know, the Kids Heart Challenge. So as when all of that happened, a number of teachers came together with SCAHPERD, and we brainstormed to find another program that we could create to replace an already great program that had the same outcomes. And those outcomes would be to raising money to support a nonprofit like American Heart or Special Olympics, and also to have programs to allow teachers to raise some money to get much needed equipment, because we know that a lot of times that budget in the school is very limited, and it's difficult for teachers to have the equipment they need. But we wanted to be very intentional in how we set it up, because we wanted to make sure that the people who did the most work, in other words, the PE teachers who do the bulk of the work, would get a good return on their investment and all the time that they spent doing that. So we wanted to make sure that the school and the PE program got back a majority of the money that they raised. So we came up with SCFitMe. And the whole idea behind it is a SCAHPERD sponsored education program, fundraising initiative that seeks to develop a strong school, because it's about being fit, and students that have a quality physical education program, they're not going to get fit necessarily in PE, but they're going to develop those skills and those the knowledge to be able to go out and become strong. So it starts with me. So a strong school, a strong community, which is going to eventually create a strong state, and it all begins with a strong me. And so that's the idea behind it, that we want these students to know and these teachers to know. And so with that fundraising initiative, we talk about the give back and the amount of money that the teachers get. The financial breakdown is this, so that you'll understand exactly how much you get. On that next slide. Thank you, dear. All right. So again, it includes, SCFitMe includes not only an educational component, but it includes a fundraising component as well, which allows the students, the teachers, the staff, the families, and community members to raise money for resources that the school chooses to use. This is one part that's great about SCFitMe, is that schools have a choice on what they do, who their give back is to, and actually we've had a number of schools that have given back to the local Special Olympics chapter. And I think one actually gave to the state Special Olympics. So it's good for schools to be able to choose that. And so the way that it works, each year the give back increases as far as what the school gets. But the first year, the school receives 65% of the funds. Now, with that 65%, we encourage them to, again, support a local nonprofit. And we really encourage the local nonprofit, because that's a way to get your community involved, to support a local nonprofit. So maybe 10% of that would go to that nonprofit, and the other 55% to the school. There are administrative costs. We have, and this 25% is pretty standard, in line with nonprofit best practices. But SCAHPERD provides a free and easy to use online platform, and that it streamlines the fundraising logistics and increases the donations for that peer-to-peer, basically peer-to-peer fundraising. That online platform, that is included in that 25%. The teacher give back, and you'll see at the end that we give the teachers professional development give backs. And then there are other administrative costs incurred for the web page that you get to have with that online platform. Every school, every individual has that online platform. And so we do want to make sure that this is done well. And then 10% does come back to SCAHPERD to support the development of those resources that we need for physical education, dance, and recreation, and help, and to provide those critical advocacy efforts for the districts, the state, and on the national level. So we are trying to give back to SCAHPERD as well as part of that. Each year, so year 2, each year that give back to the school is going to increase. First year it's 65%. Second year, that's going to increase to 70%. Third year, and this is as high as we could go. I wish we could go more, but that third year, the 75% of the money goes back to the school. And I do want to highlight this. When we say the money goes back to the school, that's how literally you receive a check. And that check is not in the fund, it's not in the form of a gift card that a lot of the other Shape America, Health Moves Minds, and the American Heart Association use. They get gift cards. They give it back. You literally get back the money, and it's from the gross funds that you raise. So whatever you raise, 70% of that gross comes back to the school. And so, again, I go back to, we really do give back to the school because the PE teacher is the one that's doing the most of the work and the bulk of the work. So YSC FitMe, one of the big reasons why is because you get more of a return on your investment. That would be the next slide. You would get more return on your investment. In other words, you invest a lot of time in this. And as you know, with even any jump rope for heart or whatever you've done in the past, a lot of times that each year it gets easier and easier because you've done it before. So that does make a big difference. But you do get a big return on your investment. And that's again, that was an important part for us when we were creating the program. The other is the flexibility. With Kids Heart Challenge, you give to American Heart Association, and please hear me, that is a very good organization to give back to. And so that 10%, 15%, or whatever you want to give back could go back to American Heart Association. We actually had a school this year that did it, that raised money, and they didn't keep any money for the school. All of their fundraising went straight to the South Carolina Cancer Society, because they had sadly had a couple of teachers at their school who were experiencing cancer. And so they gave all of their money to them. So they had that choice. And that's what's great about it. You do have a choice in who you give it back. We've had another school that chose not to. They felt like the PE program needed equipment and money, and they felt like that they really wanted to keep the money for them, for the school. And so they raised money to build put on a fitness trail on the outside of their right outside of their school for the kids, other students to use. So they didn't raise the money for PE, but indirectly it was for PE, but they raised the money for the school that impacted the school completely. The online platform, again, that's very easy to use. It's a seamless program. Shannon, our administrative assistant, sets it up for you. It's just like if you've done Kids Heart Challenge, it's just like any other fundraising, peer-to-peer fundraising platform that's out there. So it's very easy to use. Everybody gets their own web page from your website. And again, Shannon will set that up, and you don't have to do that much with that. The other pieces that we do provide, just like American Heart, we provide resources that are for the teachers. There's like a teacher packet, and in that packet, you've got some event ideas. I think some people are intimidated while flexibility is good, they're also intimidated by the flexibility because they would prefer to say, okay, tell me what to do. Well, we can tell you what to do, or we can give you that choice to be able to do it. But the teacher package, you got event ideas, talking points, timeline and checklist, student and class school-wide incentives. One thing that we don't do, as with American Heart, and I think Health Moves Mind does this too, and I hate to say this because it's going to sound negative and I don't mean for it to, but those cheap incentives that they give to the students that most teachers can't stand to have to deal with, we don't do that. The school decides what you're going to do. A lot of them will do, it's kind of fun. A lot of them will do a incentive where if we raise, you set a school limit, and if you raise $1,000, if not by individual but by school, you raise $1,000, you get an extra recess. You raise $2,000, we get lunch with the PE teacher. All of these little things, I think kiss the pig, Velcro the principal, the principal has to spend the night on the roof, all of those different things. And it's kind of fun because it's about the school. And that part allows them to make it a little bit more personal, and it gets those kids really involved. And I don't want this to sound like it's only for elementary, because I know a lot of times with Jump Broke My Heart, it was only elementary school, but you can do this at any level. It doesn't necessarily just have to be there. But there are a lot of resources there. We do provide lesson plans, lesson ideas about physical activity, health and wellness. There's online platform, frequency asked questions, all these different things that are there. We have lessons, and those lessons are aligned with the different grade levels as well as aligned with the standards. So it really gets to be more easy to implement, and instead of it being something that can be overwhelming. The other piece that I really like about the program, and that again, it was about giving the teachers what they should get, were the teacher incentives and the professional development that is a give back to the teachers. And as you'll see on the next slide, that there is, for every school, you have incremental amounts that you raise. We really wanted to focus on these incentives to be about professional development and helping the teachers, because oftentimes teachers aren't able to go to professional conferences because they can't find a sub, or the administration doesn't have the funds to pay for it, so they're not able to go. And so we want to allow them to be able to do things like that and be involved in the professional organization. So for every incremental, as you can see here, for every level that they reach, the school reaches, then there's certain things that go along with each of those levels, and that each school is going to get. And if there are 2 teachers at the school, that's a conversation that we have, because a lot of times you will have 2 teachers that are involved. So that's a conversation that we have with the school, how they choose the 2 PE teachers, how they choose to break it down. But this is part of the administrative cost, that 25% that is part of that administrative cost that we do. And and I'm not going to go through all of these, but this is just an idea. All of this is on the SCAHPERD website, so we'll put that website address on there. But and also a lot of the resources are on the SCAHPERD website. But as I look through the individuals that were on this program, I see, yes, this is geared more toward the individual schools, because a lot of times each school does different things. But I can see it easily being something that districts can participate in, or even local groups participate in. And it can be done at the district level, just like you have the fitness bowl. You could have the SC Fit and Me challenge and do a district-wide fun run and have it one day, and each school raises money up to that point. You could have a pickleball tournament. That's something that is catching on like crazy, but have it to where it's your students that are in the tournament and not necessarily the adults that are in the tournament. You can have a disc golf tournament. Chris, I'm gearing this towards you and thinking about ways that you guys could do that and do it on a district level. Schools raise money, you'd have a challenge. And, we're open to anything. If a district wants to change the way that we give these incentives back, however, we can have that conversation. We can be real flexible with that. But it is something that is not just has to be geared toward the school. It can be, and schools would be involved, but a district could do this. A district could support that. And I mean, I don't know. I would love to brainstorm some ideas with some of you if you were interested in doing that, of ways that we can do that and get districts involved, get it involved at the district level. Sports teams can do this. Clubs can do this, the disc golf club or the pickleball club. And one of the biggest advantages, again, is the online platform. And I know some schools, and I think it's Richland Lexington 5, they don't let teachers touch any type of money, so they can only do an online platform. So this works great for them because they're able to do that part of it. But it is something that's still evolving. We started it in 2019, and of course COVID hit, and just like everyone else, we had pilot schools going, it was rolling, and then COVID hit and things really started to change a little bit. And so it's a relatively small program, so you get a lot of individual support right now, and that part is good, because if you have questions, all you have to do is contact me or contact Shannon, our administrative assistant, and we're able to help you with any questions that you have and ideas. We do have, and we do try to do like a SC FitMe chat, and we'll do that on like a quarterly basis, because what's great about it is that, you know, when you get a bunch of PE teachers together or teachers together, they are some of the most creative people there are. And just to prompt some ideas and come up with some ideas of things to do and new things to try, that has been very fun to hear about. We do have and JC has put it in the chat, Meminger Elementary School down in Charleston did one a couple of years ago, did a fun run. And Susan Flynn, who works at College of Charleston, that was the PE teacher there, she put together a YouTube video of the fun run after the fact and what they did. So if you get a chance, that'd be fun to go watch that. I wasn't gonna take the time to watch it on right now, but a lot of fun. And if you would, I'm gonna ask you, JC, if you would just real quickly put my chat, that would be great too. So if you have any questions or would concerns or would like to be a part of it, please contact me and we'll go from there. And that's all. I think you're going to take questions.
Thank you, Kim. Yes. Do we have any questions in the chat box? I can't access the chat right now. So if we do, JC and McLean, if you'll share those. But in the meantime, Kim, just want to thank you a lot for sharing SC FitMe. We were glad to provide the opportunity to use this platform to share more information about it. And yes, please contact Kim if you are interested in bringing a healthy physical activity-based fundraiser to your school district or your school, where you're going to have a huge return on investment come back to your school district, which is very unique when it comes to working with a third party to coordinate a fundraiser. And I know with the work that we do at the state level, we're just thankful that we have this as a resource for our schools. So JC and McLean, are y'all seeing any questions for our panelists for today?
There are no questions in the Q&A, and I have not seen any in the chat. But as always, if there are any questions, please feel free to send them our way, and we will get the answers for everyone.
I think everyone did such a good job of sharing their information, but they also shared some contact information. So if y'all do come up with questions after today, you have the folks that you can reach out to get those answers. We only have a couple of minutes left. So to wrap us up, if y'all wouldn't mind giving a virtual applause to our panelists today, thank them so much for the amazing work that they do for all the children in South Carolina. It's very inspiring, very motivating. If you have colleagues that weren't able to watch today's session live, don't worry. This session was recorded and all of our sessions have been recorded, and you can find those on wholespire.org's website. And while we're talking about Wholespire, JC, if you wouldn't mind just spending like 60 seconds talking about this grant opportunity.
Sure. So our mini grants are coming live this summer. The application opens on June 3rd. If you are interested in learning more about our mini grant process, we do have another webinar coming up on next Wednesday, and we will also be continuing the conversation about accessibility. So please join us next Wednesday and pay attention to our website and our newsletter for more updates.
Thank you, JC. And with that, we are wrapping up this school year of Connecting Communities and Schools webinar series. So JC has shared a link to our planning survey. Right now, after today, we will start planning next school year's webinar series. So please complete that survey, give us some ideas of what type of information you would like to hear or what presenters you think would be great to participate. We will definitely use that information while we're planning over the summer. And then also, any of my friends who are CHES or MCHES certified health education specialist or master, JC will be sending out, I will share it with JC soon. JC will be sharing out with anyone who has registered for a webinar this school year, this spring, the InCheck application form. So if you want that InCheck credit, and it is free contact hours, fill out that form. The deadline's on the form. I think I'm giving y'all until like the middle of June. It's a few weeks, so no worries. But discounts for watching any live sessions during the spring webinar series or any of the recorded sessions. So definitely make sure you look out in your email, your inbox for that information coming from JC. And with that, just thank y'all so much for coming today. And thank you so much for those who have participated throughout the school year. We provide these for y'all, and we are so happy to do it. And we're so happy to continue to do that. And have a great summer, and we will see y'all in the fall. Thank you.